Hello, and welcome to Leading to the Benchmarks, where we help leaders feel like they belong and working through the belonging method. We're going to have people popping in and out as we're going through this session today. And I'm just so thrilled and excited to have every single one of you here today because this is my passion to help grow and develop leaders. And today I decided to record the entire session. And I'm going to post it and we're going to publicize it. And let's just see what happens from here. All right. So I'm Mignon Hooper, your host and founder of Platinum Life Coaching. If you see something wiggling and moving around behind me, that is my pup, Isabel. You can follow her on Instagram, or you can follow me on Instagram at Mignon Hooper, or Isabel _the_ Aussie Doodle. That is her Instagram as well. So we do lots of fun videos. All right. So what we're going to be focusing on today is we're going to continue and wrap up our resilience and stress management series. It is on motivation under pressure and how to stay driven while you're feeling drained. Because I don't know about you, but as a leader, there's so many things that happen every day. And we can just feel super, super drained. So let's dive straight into the content today. And we're going to go over our experience together. I trust it's a good one. So hang out with us and we're going to go through this. So when we're in resilience and stress management series, we're focusing on all sorts of tools, how to stay driven whenever you feel drained, because there's so much going on, especially in the holiday season, which is right where we are right now. At the time of this filming, it actually is Monday of Thanksgiving week. So we're going to be going through that of 2025 and looking forward and casting a vision into 2026. And when we're working on the belonging leader, it's our job to set the tone, because motivation isn't a personality trait. It's a practice. It's an internal job. And there's plenty of research to help and support this, that motivation is an internal job. Now, where we get our inspiration from, that is definitely external, because we're either reading a book or joining a podcast or a social media post or a great relationship. We're inspired to lead others. And I'm truly inspired to help people like yourself grow and develop into the leader that you want to be. Because leaders don't stay driven because life is easy. They stay driven because they stay aligned. And in that kind of alignment, I want us to think about this focusing question is, have you ever had a day where your body show up, but your motivation absolutely did not? That moment is where the skill elevates above emotion. And our skill will be our pre-program, the things that we fall back on, like all the things that we've developed as habits, whether they're good habits or bad habits. That is where your body just shows up. I mean, like maybe you were driving down the road and you didn't realize that you had already passed that last 20, 30 miles. And all of a sudden you're at your destination. We know, thankfully, you were able to get there safely and securely. And yet at the same time, the body has driven you, physically driven you to that location, all because of that embedded memory. Here's what motivation is not, especially whenever it's under pressure. It's not forcing energy. It's not getting into hustle mode. It is not ignoring fatigue, and it is not outrunning your burnout. What it is, though, is reconnecting to purpose, activating your energy, not forcing it, using micro momentum, and showing up for the mission, not the mood. Now, each one of these have great pieces, and these are the kind of things that I work with my coaching clients on, is how to get these things to help them move their businesses and their life forward. And, pressure distorts clarity. When motivation drops actually whenever we're under pressure, and our brain, we actually lose a significant amount of brain power, and we fall back to the root of our habits. And it can be from decision overload, and that could be something as simple as choosing the clothes that you're wearing today, because if there's got too much decision fatigue going on, it's so exhausting. And then you have emotional fatigue. Maybe there's something emotional going on in the job or at home or just around you in general. It could be some emotional fatigue that drops in. And loss of reward signals. What is your win? How do you celebrate your micro wins? That's really important to me, to celebrate a micro win. And it could be something just as simple as setting an appointment today, because in sales, that is what we do. Our job is to set an appointment. And when we can set that appointment, then we're able to create a space of purpose. When we have a space of purpose, we have a place to belong. And that's what part of the belonging method is about as well. And we also, pressure can distort and reduce creativity. I mean, think about it. The last time you were like really under pressure and you were about to be put on stage, or maybe somebody said, come up with a good idea. It's like all of your brilliant ideas were like a dry erase board and somebody swiped it, or maybe it was on an etch a sketch and they shook it, right? And we end up with tunnel vision, which is our true survival mode. There's science to back these things up. And when we're thinking about that tunnel vision and we narrow our focus by, I think it's around 20%. Now, you don't quote me because I'm not the scientist, of course, but when we narrow our focus and we're paying attention to only this, then we can have our blinders on and we can miss a lot of great people and great things and experiences around us. And sometimes we don't really listen to those that are trying to give us their input because we've got our blinders on with that tunnel vision, because we're in our survival mode. We just want to get out of that session or maybe out of that experience, because when pressure rises, the mind defaults to protection, not to progress. Here's a tool you can use. It's called the E.N.E.R.G.Y framework. It's a six-step structure to stay driven while you're drained. E is for examine your state. Name the drain. Give it a label or a title. And then narrow the target. Shrink the next step. It doesn't have to be huge at that point. It's about shrinking the very next step so you can move forward. That's not quite as much to take on then. And then energize through action. Motivation creates emotion, because when we are energized, when we move, our action, our physical movement actually creates the opportunity of that next step. What is that? The law of, oh my goodness, Newton's law of motion is every motion, it causes an equal and opposite reaction, and the same kind of thing. Now, reconnect is to meaning, because when we're reconnecting to our meaning, our purpose restores our driven. Our purpose is restored and our drive is restored. And when we're able to do that, we can guard our inputs and protect your mental bandwidth. Not every situation or not every lack of preparation should be a cause for your emergency, and yield and results. Rest is a strategy. There's nothing wrong with rest. This is a great time of year for that too. Now, we don't want to take so much time off that in 90 days we're regretting taking time off or wondering where our next deal is going to come from. And it's really important to be purposeful about taking time off, unplugging, allowing your body, your mind, and your business to create a leveling so that you can take off like you want to. So the cost of forcing motivation. When leaders push without strategy, quality drops, patience shrink, creativity disappears, people react. They don't lead. Burnout becomes an identity. You hear that come up a lot. And that has because of unmanaged pressure becomes an invisible erosion. If you're ever having something happen and you can't figure out why your team is like shrinking or the experience is changing, there's some kind of invisible erosion happening back there. And if we don't inspect it, then we can actually get into some serious issues with our team. I know I've had that happen. So, our purposeful pressure. Pressure isn't the enemy. Meaningless pressure is. When pressure it has purpose, it becomes fuel. And when pressure has no meaning, it becomes weight. And then, our belonging leaders, what they do is they anchor their teams in meaning, giving themselves and their team members a reason to show up. It's so important for us to do that for our team members. And micro motivation tools, some quick resets to help real leadership moments, really can change the trajectory of your team and make them feel really good about being in your presence and wanting to show up on a regular basis. Because think about this. If you have a 2-minute win, if you do something or if your team does something and it's like a right now thing, and then you can give them a quick pat on the back or maybe a pull them aside and say, hey, you know what? Great job. You really changed the way we were looking at this process. And I'm grateful for your perspective. And sometimes just giving people the feedback that their voice is heard. You may not take them on and do exactly what they're wanting to do, but letting them know that their voice is heard and important. And we can change the scenery, get up, get out, move around, take a walk around the building, or maybe even a walk around the office. And do an energy audit. Reward the step, not the finish line. Small shifts change everything. With pressure thresholds, every leader has a threshold. It's the point where pressure becomes paralysis. Your job isn't to eliminate pressure, but to expand your threshold. And this comes through practice, not perfection. I want you to think about this. A quick story about the day motivation just never showed up for me. There was a day, and that's not that long ago, that I had back-to-back commitments. I was driving around and I had a full client and meeting workload, and I really just didn't have a lot of motivation. And it started even as early as my early morning workout. My mind was foggy, my energy was gone, and everything just felt flat and heavier, just worse than it should have. And instead of forcing myself to push through, I used one of the simple energy steps. I used the N, the narrow the target. I picked one small action I could do with that energy, just that little bit that I had, just one. I sent a single follow-up message, and that one action sparked clarity. That clarity sparked momentum, and the momentum sparked my motivation. By the end of the day, I felt like the work was so good. And all that work that I felt that was impossible, it was done. Not because motivation magically appeared, but because action created it. And that's one truth about most leaders that we forget is motivation is rarely the starting point. It's just the result of one aligned action to choose to show up for myself and also chose to show up for my team. And one appointment, that just really set things up for me. Now, as a belonging leader, here's your clarity challenge. Identify one source of pressure, apply the E.N.E.R.G.Y framework, take one micro action daily, elaborate on momentum, and celebrate it. And, it's not about perfection. Instilling inspiration is leadership muscle, and its repetition, that is actually motivation. That's what makes it motivation, is because it so drives the kind of energy. You just got to take that one step. Here's our leadership quote today. Pressure is a privilege. It means that you're trusted with something and that it matters. And as belonging leaders, we don't crumble under pressure. We convert it into purpose. I'm going to ask you to join us again next week. We're going to be focusing on a whole new mini series. It's called Innovation and Problem Solving, the creative thinking. We're going to be talking about unlocking new possibilities. And, as we shift from pressure management to possibility creation, that is where innovation really begins. So, if you will, click the link below. You can come join us live in the Zoom room. It's on 9:25 a.m. Eastern every Monday in the Zoom room. I have a community portal as well, or you can just catch our recap here. All right. Have an amazing rest of your day. And for those that celebrate Thanksgiving, we're so grateful for you as well as everyone else that is a part of our community. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful, safe holiday. We'll see you soon.